that we need to make sure that one of the things that we do most importantly in 2020 is to make sure that we not only say that our women are queens, and we not only, gratify and edify and glorify them as such, but we live our lives as kings to represent and be a better example unto them. So we thank you, dear sister, and all the sisters out there that are tuning in and listening to the Conscious Mindset. And not only that, but listening to the laws of Mayat and all of the wonderful spiritual texts that have helped not only them be beacons of light, but the real backbone of our community, and continue to be there forth and moving on. And we have a wonderful sister, an amazing light worker who is tapping in and tuning in with us, and got everybody on the internet texting me, Zaza's gonna be on, Zaza's gonna be on, this is Zaza, hey, can I get an autograph, hey, da. And sister, I just want to say that there are many brothers and sisters out there doing great work, and I definitely want to let them know that you are not only at the forefront of that, but you've been a catalyst of that, and some would say you've even been crucified for that, but I will say that that is a fact, and that is something that you're authentically and genuinely doing, and you have done a great work. Some would say a masterpiece. I would concur with your wonderful workbook and book, and I want to definitely say thank you for doing it, for taking not only the time and the work and the arduous and sacrifices that have to be made to create something of this magnitude, and truly something as profound and prolific, using one of the words that Brother Nipsey would have used to describe this work, because it really works so many different levels, and so many different things are expressed and blessing us to better understand. So even before we get into the conversation, I want to say whatever you like, good sister, because you definitely are bringing the light and doing it right, and definitely helping our people to become more enlightened. So we want to say thank you, dear sister Zaza Ali.
Well, thank you so much for that beautiful, high vibrational, positive, welcoming, and peace and love to the sister who blessed us with that beautiful opening. Her voice has a very high vibration, and the words were very magnetic. So thank you so much to her. Thank you to you and to all of your listeners and everybody that's in the studio with you tonight. I'm happy to be here.
We're happy to have you, and you talked something that I think is very important. You got my computer going off and going crazy because it's so excited to have you. But you said some of the key things that we wanted to talk about in terms of high vibration. As we start this conversation, many of our people are stressed out, worrying about Monday, worrying about all the stuff that they had to get over and overcome, and they wanted to have a fun Sunday, but it turned into, like most of the other days, filled with chaos and confusion. And that key little statement that you made, I think, is a great point to begin to start our conversation, is high vibrations, and that energy that we're generating and hopefully radiating will hopefully come back to us, and we can live in it to better understand how to live in this thing we call life. So I really want you to just start this conversation right there about the importance of having good energy, especially high vibrations, and that type of exposure and experience, and what it can create for our people and for us upcoming and going into 2020.
Well, I think that's a great way to start out. It's kind of in vogue now. We talk about vibrations, and you hear a lot of people saying that word, but I don't think a lot of people really understand in a layman's term what that actually means. We as human beings are electromagnetic beings, meaning that we are resonating energy and we are resonating frequency all the time through our thoughts and through our feelings. Our heart is an electromagnetic center, and our brain is also an electromagnetic center. We are antennas, and we are constantly picking up signals as well as receiving signals. One of the examples, for instance, if you run around the house in your socks, and you drag your feet along the floor, you'll get static in your hair, and sisters know. once you get that static in your hair and your hair starts sticking up, that it's hard to pull that out. But that's one example. If you are in a great mood, right, you go to the DMV, let's say, you get to a window, somebody has a real bad attitude. Now all of a sudden you've gone from high energy, positive energy, to being upset, biting down on your jaws, and you think that it's just that this person has a bad attitude and they were rude to you. That's part of it, but there's also an energetic transference that's happening by you being in a close proximity to that person. They say that the human heart can be measured, the electromagnetic field, meaning the amount of energy that we resonate, can be measured from 6 to 10 feet away. So wherever you are, who's ever sitting in your proximity, everyone in the room is vibrating energy and transferring energy in a non-vocal, linguistic way, right? So there's that aspect of it. So everything is moving, everything is vibrating. The computer you're looking at, the phone you're listening to me on, the chair that you're sitting in, the house that you are sitting in, the apartment, whatever, everything that is a part of our physical reality is moving and is vibrating. And if we put it under a atomic magnifying glass, when we break it down to its finest compounds, we will see atoms, and then within those atoms, we will see protons and electrons. Not to get too scientific about this, but it's important because we are spiritual beings, we are energetic beings, we are mental beings, we are emotional beings, we are physical beings, and we have to respect and honor all of those aspects of ourselves. And when we don't, that's when stress kicks in, that's when anxiety kicks in, that's when depression kicks in, and all of those things are exacerbated by being in relationships that we are unhappy in, being at jobs that we hate, not having enough money, not having proper connection with our families and with our children, not having support, not being connected to our history and our culture, right? So all of these things in totality are what make us up to be electromagnetic beings or vibrational beings. So you, my brother, with that very high vibrational welcoming, the sister with that very high vibrational song, are transmitting energy through the airwaves. You are on, is it 90.1?
Absolutely.
Okay, so on 90.1, we are picking up Conscious Mindset, your radio show, on this particular frequency. If we change the tuner to, let's say, 102.9 or 106.1, those are the open stations that I'm used to, we would pick up totally different frequencies. Well, it's the same thing with us as human beings. We can be vibrating on a pessimistic frequency. We can be vibrating on a gratitude and abundance frequency. We can be vibrating on a I hate men frequency. We can be vibrating on a I hate my job, I hate this world frequency, right? Whatever and that doesn't mean that you only vibrate one frequency per day. You can be vibrating 50 frequencies at one particular time, depending on what's going on with you. But your dominant frequency, if it's pessimism, if it's low expectations, if it's woe is me, if it's victim consciousness, right, then that's what you're going to experience in this world. We live in a participatory universe, and everything that we are thinking and feeling and our behavior patterns is what's actually creating the world that we live in.
Boom. You just said so much in that. I'm telling you, I mean, that was like an encyclopedia, good sister. And let's kind of stay there for a moment and unpack some of the brilliance that you just laid out. And it can easily be read in your book, The Science of Self, because you talked about these frequencies. And many of us, we don't think about that. We don't think about our day and the energies at which, we're contracting or we're expressing or we're radiating and generating. Can you talk about, because you mentioned stress. I think that was another important point that we need to tap in and touch in on, because in your book, you have a very nice section about, cortisol and about how the brain works and about certain chemicals that affect our emotions. And even there's a chapter in there, Understanding Emotion and the Magnetic Factor, which you alluded to. Really love for you to kind of break that down and talk about the specificness of how we need to be intentional with our frequency, with our energy, how to better understand our emotions, how to get better control of our emotions. All of those things you easily break down in your book.
Yeah, well, that's a really good question, and it is, there's a lot to unpack. It's a lot to understand. And as a student of the universe and of our ancestors and of our history, I'm constantly on a quest to try to understand this and to be able to translate it in layman's terms and in a simple way to make it attractive and interesting so that we can take control of our lives. When I talk about the magnetic factor, and I ask the question, as far as rating yourself, what is your magnetic factor? Magnetic factor meaning how are you resonating in your life as far as the good things that come to you, the quality of people that you meet in regular occurrences, at the bank, at the teller, at the grocery store, and in your ongoing relationships, whether it's your boss or a coworker or a business partner or someone that's in your relationship. You can analyze and assess what your frequency and resonance is based on doing a litmus test on your own life. Going back and reviewing your day-to-day, right? Like you talked about, a lot of people are stressed out because tomorrow's Monday, right? Back to the grind, bills are due, the first of the month is coming up, mortgage is due, rent is due. A lot of people are experiencing extreme levels of stress behind finances and behind money, right? Now, the thing about it, the trick to it is, and this is the thing that, I had to grasp and really wrap my mind around, we've been taught that there is a God or some semblance of consciousness, however you apply that spiritually or religiously, that is judging us, right? Based on our sins, based on our right and wrongs. That's not exactly how I understand it to be. The universe, or the broader consciousness, so to speak, is mirroring whatever is happening inside of us. So people say life is not fair. We need to stop saying that, because if you think that life is not fair, then that's what your experience in life is going to be, and you're also going to project that onto other people. Life is not fair or unfair. Life is matching our resonance. Everything that happens to us is a mirror of what's happening to us internally, right? So when we talk about the emotions, and you talked about the hormones that I referenced in the book, everything from serotonin to cortisol. Cortisol is what they call a stress hormone, right? It is released from your brain anytime you have an interaction or an experience that makes you feel stressed. It puts your brain and your body into fight or flight mode, meaning you're walking down a back alley, you're a woman, you're by yourself, 4 men are approaching, they look dangerous, they start whistling, you get scared, and now your brain releases this chemical in order to help you to pull yourself out of that environment. If you have to fight, if you have to run, that adrenaline kicks in and you start to react internally without even thinking about it. Your brain is on autopilot, releasing the chemical into your bloodstream. Now, the problem is we're wired to be able to protect ourselves in dangerous situations. A lot of us are living like that, where we wake up in stress mode. We go to work in stress mode. We deal with our relationships in stress mode. We parent in stress mode. We handle business in stress mode. We think about money in stress mode, right? So your body naturally, when you continuously release that chemical into your bloodstream, your body becomes addicted to that process, because it is normalizing what is supposed to be only meant for dangerous situations. You are now normalizing the idea, the physical reaction of stress and how it impacts the brain and the body. This is why we all know people that are addicted to drama, that cannot for the life of them stay away from gossip, from drama. And if you took them out of that setting and put them in a healthy and wholesome environment, they will find a way to sabotage it.
Absolutely.
Because there's something deeper that's happening, right? At the same time, we have dopamine, right? Dopamine is what they call the pleasure hormone. And crack cocaine, for instance, and I talked about this in Black Matters, Volume 1, my first book. Crack cocaine mirrors in the body and in the brain dopamine.
Absolutely.
So it is a artificial representation of dopamine in the body. So crack cocaine wasn't just some random drug that, some brothers in the San Francisco Bay Area concocted because they were physicists. No, these were scientists that went into laboratories. They had scientists from the best schools going out, and I don't want to get too off subject from your question, but, there has been a chemical war that has been focused on melanated people in particular all around the world, and we think it's just about keeping us eating unhealthy food, about the prison industrial complex, and all of that is part of it. But the real war is about fear. Because when you are resonating fear, whether it's bills, whether it's a domestic violence situation, whether it's the media, police brutality, if you are resonating on a frequency of fear, it is impossible for you to manifest your highest and best self and to consciously create your reality, which is what the workbook is about.
Hold on now. You just dropped a bomb on us. You know what I'm saying? You did a gap band on us right quick. I'm going to call Charlie Wilson, because what you just said is something that we really need to not only begin to meditate and ruminate upon, but we really need to process and better understand how to implement in our lives, because the life of a melanated person is constant fear.
Yeah.
You know, when we really sit back and think about it, because the things that you alluded to, you talked about bills and stresses. You know, when that Bone Thugs song come on, it's the first of the month. You know, many of us, we know we got to get up, we got to get it on, because we got everything to pay, and many of us have spent our last dollar to buy gifts for folk that we really sometimes don't even like and don't even get along with. But that's a whole nother issue, and you kind of delve into that in your book as well. Hopefully we'll get a chance to get into that about relationships and the importance of building good spiritual connections. But the thing I wanted to ask you, because you mentioned this a few moments ago, you talked about the victimized or victimization consciousness, which goes directly into fear and the lack of abundance, at which you mentioned in your book. And I think it's so important for our people as we go into 2020, and many of us realize some of the mistakes we made in 2018, 2019, 2017, and all the other 20s, because we're spending so much of our time feeling fear, feeling anxiety, being worried about the next moment, and worrying about things so much to where we don't have a moment of even being clear and focus in our thought. And I love how your book begins to help us not only manifest the reality we desire, but to first get our mind and our consciousness out of the victimization and into victory and into thinking about the things that we truly want and we truly desire. So I'd love for you to speak to that, to better help folk process that and understand.
Absolutely, and that's a great point. You know, like we talked about the radio stations and, you know, tuning to different frequencies. Well, there's a fear-based consciousness or a fear-based frequency. There's also a victim-based consciousness or a victim-based frequency. If we look at this situation with the Me Too movement right now, right, and the trading war stories sort of element that's happening amongst women, and taking nothing away. As a woman, trust me, I have a thousand stories from my upbringing, especially growing up in the hood in Oakland, and I understand the totality of oppression that women have experienced in this country. But I also recognize that a lot of it is a victimization, a victim-based consciousness, meaning we are only talking specifically about what they did to us. Well, if we really respect the spiritual laws and we really expect how this universal law works, you have to be in alignment with an experience to even take place, whether it is, and please don't take this wrong, let's put on our thinking caps and take the emotions away for a second and really think about what it is that I'm saying. Everything that happens in your life, you are either in vibrational alignment with, or it is preparing you for your destiny or something that you desire, right? So let's say, for instance, a woman who is in an abusive relationship with a man. That is in no way meant to say, well, that's what you are. You're an abusive woman, so you attracted abusive man. No, that's not how that works. You could be a woman who grew up in a family and saw women being abused. You could be a woman who has a very dysfunctional relationship with your father, and so you don't like men or you hate men. You could be a woman that saw a traumatic event happen to another woman, and so you are resonating when it comes to the subject of men, a certain frequency that has put you on a path with a man that you may have a traumatic experience with. Or you could have a role or a destiny to be a servant to other women, to help broaden the scope of the consciousness when it comes to the condition of women here, or even helping men. A lot of this culture, this rape culture and domestic violence and stuff, we really don't talk about healing men. How can we not, if we're really trying to right the wrongs of the past and get beyond this, what they call patriarchal mindset, how can we not have an equal and fair amount of time and attention towards healing men, because they're our sons, right? So when we talk about fear-based consciousness and victim consciousness, everything that's happening in our lives and the conditions that we interact with are based on, sometimes it's something that happened in the womb, right? Maybe mother was involved in drugs, or she had low self-esteem. She was vibrating a low vibrational frequency. She didn't love herself. She was alone. There wasn't a man there with her to get through that situation. And then, of course, her diet. We grow up. We have different experiences. Our personalities get set at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years of age, right? So all of these things are creating our personality, which in turn is what is creating our resonance, what we attract, what we repel. Now, people will say, well, that's not fair, Zaza. What kind of God or what kind of universal mind would put a woman in a position where she would be in a domestic violence situation? Or what kind of situation would put a man who never committed a crime and now he's in jail serving 10 years for something that he didn't do? You know, that's where the fair and unfair part doesn't come into play. That is a segment of victim consciousness, only because in order for that man sitting in jail serving that prison sentence, in order for him to overcome that situation and free himself, he has to surrender to the situation, to the reality, and to the lesson that is being bestowed upon him in order to overcome that. There is no other way. He has to acknowledge that there's something bigger on the horizon, that his soul had a destiny and an experience that it chose to come here and have in order to expand its consciousness. When I talk about us being spiritual beings, we're souls. You're a soul. I'm a soul. I'm a woman having a conversation with you, but we are actual souls and spiritual beings that are having an experience in these vehicles called bodies. Our ancestors understood that. And it's so funny that we talk so much about Kemet and about Africa and our history, but they respected the spiritual realm. That's why they had the level of power that they had. So I'll give you the floor back, because I hope I answered the question.
Oh, you did. You went in, good sister, and you got me saying you're my soul sister like Bilal, too. You know what I'm saying? You definitely are saying not only things we need to hear, but talking about making peace with ourselves. And that was a really important piece in your book. In the workbook, to be specific. And the reason why I love talking about it as a workbook, Zaza, is because we got to do the work. So much of what we think is that somehow we can take a pill, or somehow we can go hear a lecture, or we can watch a YouTube video and get it, but not remembering or forgetting that we have to do the work, right? So I think one of the key things that you allude to in the beginning of the book is so much, but in the beginning of the book is you talk about making peace with yourself. I'd love for you to go into the life force energy, about how important that is for our mind, body, and soul connection, to not be depleted, but to be recharged by the cosmic life force energy. Can you talk about that? And how important it is for our people to tap into that.
Absolutely. And just, I started writing workbooks because I was trying to find a way to do my God-given talent, which is as a writer. But at the same time, like you said, I don't want to just be talking at people. I've been making YouTube content for 7 years now. I've been talking about history and culture and, self-accountability and all of these different things for a long time. And people will watch the videos and say, oh my God, I needed this message. But then that same person 2 months later would be on another video like I'm really going through it right now, Zaza. Yeah, the videos are not going to be sufficient. This is about internal reflection and being mindful of how you are thinking and how you are feeling at all times. I remember I used to read, when I would read in Eastern thought and, sometimes when I was studying Buddhism and things like that, they would always talk about being present, right? And me, a young female growing up in Oakland, California, walking down the street, seeing candles and balloons and rest in peace signs and, having friends that were murdered and half my family being, succumbing to crack cocaine and everything that comes with growing up in the ghetto. I was just like, what do you mean be present? Like, You know what I'm saying? We live in hell. What does that mean? How do I, that's the key to enlightenment, being present. And I didn't understand that for a long time. Now, as we study all of these different sciences and variances and whatnot, in the workbook there is a emotional chart, right? And it goes from gratitude, appreciation, abundance, love, enthusiasm, right? That's at the top of the chart. And then at the bottom of the chart, you have pessimism, anger, hatred, fear, right? All of these low vibrational energies. And then in the center is sort of like a middle ground, right? So when you are focused on being present in your life, not worrying about tomorrow, like the people who are stressed out about having to go to work tomorrow. And like I say, you if you can't sit with yourself for 15 minutes, right, quietly and be still without thinking about your boss, thinking about what somebody said to you earlier today, thinking about the problems with your mother, thinking about, money problems, thinking about what happened on Instagram, thinking about how many people are liking your post. If you can't sit quietly within yourself for 15 minutes, your mind does not belong to you. It belongs to the world. Well, I wanted my mind to belong to me. How do I get to that space where my mind belongs to me, where I am not constantly inundated with the thoughts of the world? That comes from being a very energetically sensitive person. So, make peace with yourself. That is a self-reflective internal mission that I have had for my whole entire life without realizing it until I was able to really contextualize it and put it into words. Why are you so uneasy, Zaza? Why are you so restless? Why can't you sit still for 15 minutes without the whole entire world being in your brain? Why does it bother you so much when trolls are attacking you on social media? Why does it bother you so much what other people are saying about you? Why does it bother you so much, et cetera, et cetera? Now, going back to my life story, I grew up in a situation where I didn't have a strong family structure. So my whole life, up until my adulthood, I've been resonating, I need validation. I've been resonating, please see me. I've been resonating, please see my value. Please hear me. I have so much to give. I'm trying to be known for my mind. I'm trying to elevate my people. I'm trying to give back to my people. I'm trying to help my people. I'm helping businesses. I'm helping schools. I'm giving, I've been doing it with the best of intentions, but not conscious of the underlying resonance and frequency that I was emitting out into the universe. So even while I was intentionally doing so much good, I created a backlash that manifested itself in my life through different experiences because of the underlying frequency. So this goes back to when we talk about women being in domestic violence situations, men attracting women that use them and manipulate them, and all of these different stories that we all have. There are underlying things that are happening within our temperament, within our personalities, and with our vibrational system, so to speak, that are attracting certain things to us. So in lieu of all of that, right? Oh my God, I've been attracting, you know what I'm saying? Why does this keep happening to me?
Yeah.
Why are people, so when I started getting in that mindset, then that became my frequency for a while. Why is this happening to me? I did so much good. I don't understand. Then resentment. Why don't you see me? Why can't, you know what I mean? So all of these things are becoming patterns of resonance, so to speak, until I got to the point where I was like, wait a minute, what do I really want? Peace.
Peace.
Do I really want people to know who I am? Do I really want to be seen? Do I really want 1 million followers? What do I really, 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 really want? Peace.
It's interesting that you say that, good sister, because not only is it very honest and very vulnerable, and we appreciate your candor, but I think it's something that many of us can relate to and connect with, especially those that become what they call woke or conscious. We think that, or sometimes that we've arrived. We've gotten the information. We got the knowledge. We know what's up. We know who we are now. Somehow that's going to end the journey. But it seems as if, from what I've ascertained from listening to you, that it began another journey, and a deeper journey, which led you to even understand yourself better and more clairvoyantly.
And let me say this, please pardon me for cutting you off, brother.
Go ahead.
Knowledge of self is different than knowledge of yourself. I behind me, I have a bookcase. I have every writings from African scholars, from historical scholars, from spiritual scientists, right? All these different mindsets from all these different periods of time, Buddhism, Taoism, law of attraction, etc. But there came a point when I couldn't pull anything from those books. When I had to close the books and really internally start to look within myself, that's when I really started to walk into wisdom. Knowledge and wisdom, like there's a space where you get to when knowledge doesn't fulfill you anymore. Now you need to learn how to cultivate that information in order to help you to become your highest and best self. So knowledge of self and knowledge of yourself are relative, but they're different. And I think right now, because we have access to so much information, particularly for our people, and we are being inundated with a lot of information about our history and our culture without context, right? Say, for instance, the hieroglyphs, right, in Kemet. We've had books, translating them, and, we can see these great inscriptions on the pyramids and on the temples throughout Kemet, right? The consciousness of that time period is what activated that knowledge. That's why we can study it, we can break it down, we can learn, we translate it from top to bottom. But if we give it to our people right now, if you take that information to, you know what I'm saying, the hood in Houston or in Dallas or the hood in Oakland, our people will look at us like we're crazy, because we don't have the consciousness in this time frame in order to translate that in a spiritual level where it will raise us up. But to our ancestors' credit and to our credit, that knowledge is not supposed to be, we're not supposed to be standing only on that knowledge. That is a segue along with the historical, the slavery sojourn and all of the things that happened even before slavery, right? The interactions with Europeans. We went all around the world. Some of us were in Europe, some of us in South America, North America, etc. All of those processes, Jim Crow, lynchings, and the whole sojourn and totality of who we are is the knowledge and wisdom that we're supposed to stand on. That's what activates a certain level of consciousness for us right now.
Well said, good sister. And we're talking with Sister Zaza Ali, the one and only, and truly an amazing work of art she has produced. And I love how you talk about change your mind, because many of us are thinking about changing. And what you just talked about was not only getting the information, but making better decisions and choices and actions to bring that information, that knowledge into existence and reality. So wisdom, bringing wise actions to the forefront of not only our thinking, but our behavior and our conscious behavior at that. So I really wanted to applaud you for putting this into the universe as a physical form and formation for us to not only study today and days thereafter, but for generations, for them to get these tools and these tips. Because you talked about being in Oakland in your youth, in hell. I'd imagine there's some youngsters that can relate, whether they're listening in Oakland or whether they're listening right here in Houston or anywhere on the World Wide Web. They can relate to being in a tough and very difficult situation in which negative thoughts are constantly bombarding them because they're in a negative environment. Can you talk about the importance of being able, like yourself, to find ways to rise above or to raise your vibration in your consciousness so that you don't become a product of your environment, but that you rise and raise yourself up like a phoenix to be able to accomplish the great things that you're doing? And sister, I might add, you are doing some great things, and we salute you and we applaud you and we appreciate you for that. But can you kind of give us a working guide or a roadmap at which folk can take, especially younger folk, to be able to know that the adversity at which they're facing does not have to change them, but they can change their situation to become greater and more successful?
Absolutely. Let me preface that with this, right? And people who watch my YouTube channel they'll remember, I talk about this continuously. In the Kybalion, which is a book of spiritual science that talks about the laws of the universe, polarity, rhythm, vibration, mental gender, etc. One of the universal laws is the law of polarity. In the law of polarity, and I'm simplifying this, it basically says that whatever end of the spectrum that you are on, meaning if you come from an impoverished background, if you grew up in dysfunction, if your father wasn't in the household, if you've had family members killed in violence or doing drugs, right? Worst case scenarios, how the worst of the worst, right? The worse your situation is, the law of polarity, which is a universal law which can be proven, and I could break it down in any sense pertaining to whatever your life situation is. The law of polarity states that it is mandated by universal law that the pendulum has to swing to the opposite end of the pendulum. It has to swing to the opposite end of the pendulum and either meet that same level on the opposite end of the pendulum or greater, meaning that if your life has been filled with suffering and shame and depression, once you start to swing back to the other end of the pendulum, which means that when the swing starts, the universal energy will be behind you, you have a greater access to an experience of more abundance, more joy, more love, more universal consciousness, more, proper and righteous support and family, not just blood, right? More abundance, more financial appreciation, right? Now, if we juxtapose that, let's put our people, the microcosm is the individual, the macrocosm is our people. That swing is already happening right now. If we look at the impact that Black people, particularly in America, and now we're seeing a global shift with Africa as well, have had on universal consciousness, and not always good, right? Through hip-hop, through music, through arts, through songwriting, through dance, through our culture, right? We have had a magnanimous impact on the culture of the world. Nobody else in modern times has been more impactful when it comes to arts, when it comes to music, when it comes to sports, right, than us. Now, mind you, this is a people who have been placed in a land. Some of us were already here, some of us were brought here, but all of us have been a part of this collective experience of struggle, who have now taken the forefront as far as the global collective, as far as attention, as far as energy, and even in our dysfunction, right, with drugs in our music and disrespecting our women and all of the madness that's taking place, we are still at the forefront of leading universal consciousness from a music and entertainment and arts perspective, right, without really even understanding what was happening. That is the law of polarity on a consciousness scale, on a global consciousness scale. That is a prime example. And on an individual scale, me coming from the situation that I came from, the upbringing, my shift is happening now. And again, once I'm in alignment with the goals and aspirations that I really desire, which are going to come through my intention of peace, through my internal focus, right? My shift on the other end of the pendulum, like you talked about, the crucifixion, so to speak, and the negative energy that I have experienced. Well, thank you very much, because that's going to play a role when the polarity shifts, right? So to your main point, as far as young people, right? I cannot stress enough.
It's up to you, whatever you feel.
I can hear you guys. That's okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. As far as young people and just everybody in general, I cannot stress enough breathing. Learning how to control your breath, especially if you're in a situation where you experience a lot of depression, a lot of stress, and a lot of anxiety. I have a course on my website dealing with overcoming anxiety, but learning how to control your breathing. You should always breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Your nose has nose hairs, which are filters to keep dirt and all the toxic stuff of the world out, right? So do not breathe in through your mouth. It's very unhealthy. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, right? Learn how to control your breathing first and foremost. You talked about meditating. For a lot of people who are in a space, and I'm all for meditating, there's different ways to meditate. If you're not in a space where you can sit with your mind quiet, then you can find a positive affirmation meditation if it's dealing with forgiveness, if it's dealing with money, if it's dealing with, changing your mindset. There are plenty of affirmation-based meditations online that you can listen to where you can focus into the high vibrational language of the meditation. I have some of those available on my website as well. Spending time in nature, right? going out, letting the sun hit your face, breathing in, fresh, clean air, learning how to respect the process of what it takes for this whole world to click, for the birds and the bees and the trees and the grass and the ox and the cattle and the fish, and everything is in perfect harmony within the universe. Birds don't wake up and worry about paying cell phone bills. You know what I mean? Like, they are totally in harmony and in alignment with the universe. So spending time in nature, having something that you do specifically for your body, whether it's walking. I am an avid yogi, and I, highly, highly, highly recommend that people, especially dealing with stress and anxiety, practice yoga. There's plenty of beginner yoga classes online that you can watch on YouTube for free. I also have those on my website that I actually instruct classes. Your mind, every single day, you should be feeding your mind with something. What are you reading right now? And I'm not talking about random articles that people are posting online that may or may not be true, that are, about trending topics or what this celebrity did with her husband. No, I'm talking about actually, if you have a goal to be a hairstylist, if you have a goal to be an electrician, if you want to travel the world, you should be subscribing to Airbnb's travel magazine. If you want to open up your own mechanic shop, you should be subscribing to magazines that focus on mechanics and how to, like, breathe in whatever your interest is. Feed your mind every single day. And just really, really start to observe and monitor your thought processes. What you're thinking when you wake up in the morning. Is your first thought something negative? Are you stressing out the door? Are you thinking, when you get off work, what is your mindset? What are you resonating? When you go to sleep at night, how are you feeling? What are you thinking? And start to, before you go to bed, listen to some meditation music, some nice soothing frequencies and hertz and stuff like that. That will set the temperament for the following day. So and all of that stuff is in my workbook. Like, I lay all of that out. I lay it all out. I also have, like, meditations at the end of the workbook that you can actually record yourself saying these meditations with some nice soothing music in the background, and fall asleep to you fine-tuning your subconscious mind and programming your reality instead of reacting to it.
You just dropped a bomb on us, another one. You cold, you know what I'm saying? You definitely have put together, as we alluded to and said earlier, a masterpiece. And I want you, I've been hearing you say you can go on my website, but I want you to say the website. Don't think you're leaving. I'm not letting you go. I'm going to hold on to you because, what you're talking about is amazing. And I know it was somebody out there that was listening to you. We had been breathing with our mouth open. And I know somebody started breathing with their nostrils. And I know that they can see and experience the existence and the difference. And that's why the phone is ringing now. They're saying thank you. And you can call 713-526-5738 if you want to share as well. But I love for you to be able to share the website and how people can get in contact with you as well.
My website is zazaali.com. That's Z like zebra, A like Adam, Z like zebra, A like Adam, and then Ali, ALI.com. You can email me directly at zazaali.com. I'm on Instagram and, my YouTube channel as well. Those are pretty much my main, social media pages right now. And, when we talk about being stressed and overwhelmed, like, the biggest fear that all of us have at the core of our being is not living up to our full potential. That's what all of us are really afraid of, whether it's as parents, as men, right, supposed to protect and provide for the family. A lot of women as mothers, we bury our dreams and our goals, right, as we become mothers, as we become sometimes wives or in relationships, we forget about the goals and aspirations that we had once upon a time, and we get stuck in the monotony of life. So I just really want to underscore that, because I'm not trying to, simplify the struggles that people are having. Like, I've been in hell. You know what I'm saying? That's the only reason why I'm able to vocalize with clarity the things that I'm saying, because I've been through the fire and come out of the other side. You can make it, whether you are in, you heard you talked about the brothers that are incarcerated. earlier, there is no other time in a man's life, particularly in a black man's life, where he has as much time and focus to purely focus on his mind and his body and his spiritual and emotional self than when he is incarcerated. You have so much access to your higher self in this space and time right now. So take advantage of that. Pull yourself out of the mindset of why is this happening to me, and into a space of what is this supposed to teach me, right? You can become the ruler of yourself in any type of situation. And I've been through a lot in my life. So I speak with authority on this because I've seen a lot, I've experienced a lot, and I know what the potential of the human being is. Whether you regular, mediocre, and average, or whether you are excellent and wealthy, and you know what I'm saying, right. Got it all. You have so much potential, and it doesn't matter where you are, you can tap into it. We're just using some simple tools.
And that is absolutely beautiful. I want to get into those tools on the second hour. But you got people calling in, and the phone is ringing. You know, I feel like I'm Jerry Lewis. Hey, continue to keep ringing those calls.
Stop.
You know what I'm saying? It's like a telethon out here. But definitely that's because you're sharing some great information. Now, good sister, I want to say this. We got some wise and aged elders out there. And one sister told me, you know, I had to go get my hearing aid, so I wasn't able to hear you get the website. So, sister, I want you to say the website one more again, and for all our friends and our family out there that needed to write it down, and to hear it a little bit better, okay?
It's ZazaAli.com, ZazaAli.com. Zaza with a Z, Z-A-Z-A, Ali.com.
Say it one more again, good sister.
ZazaAli.com, ZazaAli.com.
I just received another call, so it's obvious that folk out there are appreciating and valuing your wonderful work. And I just call it Change Your Mind, manifesting your reality. And I'm speaking with none other than our good, beautiful sister. I'm telling you, you know, this sister, she is as beautiful on the outside as she is on the inside. And on the inside, she is worth her price in diamonds and gold. And I know she don't like nobody saying that because she wants people to act like she don't look like nothing. But the sister is absolutely phenomenally beautiful, okay? And now I want you to receive that, good sister, as we approach the 10 o'clock hour, because a lot of people hate on you because of that. Yeah, I bet a lot of people,
know.
You know what I'm saying? But you got to embrace that, because to me, that's one of your gifts. And also it really embodies you. And I think that it makes total sense when people hear your voice and they go on the website and they get a look at you. They're going to take a double look and say, what? This sister saying this, doing this, looking like this.
It's an oxymoron. It kind of jugs at the senses, because I look. People have a certain expectation of me based on how I look, especially in this world we live in today, where the attention is so focused on looks.
Right.
And that was a part of, in the book I talk about what is your master teacher. My looks and that whole physical aspect has been a master teacher for me, learning how to navigate that and the energy that comes with that from men, and just in general learning how to really navigate that and attracting people that will really see me for my true value, not just how I look. I decided at a very young age, when I was 11 years old, my father took me to a modeling see a modeling agency. Mm-hmm. And when I walked the runway, I told my father when we left, I was like, I don't want to be known for how I look. I want to be known for my mind. I said that at 11 years old. So that was my destiny, but the looks, it's part of my master teacher.
Hey, it is definitely a master teacher. And I love how, you said that you want to become a mastermind, and this masterpiece that I've had an opportunity to read, and I want others to begin to tap into and touch and learn from, is going to really change not only the way in which we think, the way in which we speak and act, but I think it's going to ripple throughout the universe. So we're speaking speaking with none other than Sister Zaza. You're not going anywhere, Zaza. Stay tight, hold tight.
I'm with you.
And as you heard us on the mic a few minutes ago, I was asking, so I said, "You ready to attend, sister?" She's like, "Whatever you like, whatever you need." You know what I'm saying? And that beautiful energy, that high vibration, none other than this good sister. And she spelled her name, and I love the way she says it and says it to me. And I know that you like it too, because she definitely does a beautiful thing. So I'm gonna close my mouth and let her do her thing with her wonderful company, Brother Brandon. And this good sister Chandra is going to share her light in a lovely and beautiful way. So we want you to listen on your radio, whether you're tuned in at kpft.org, or you're right here in H-Town at 90.1, or you're real in Galveston, holding it down. We want to say thank you at 89.5. And even if you're behind the walls, we want you to stand tall at 91.9 in Huntsville. And thank you for listening to The Conscious Mindset.
Hello, stranger in my DM, slipping in, acting like you know me. Yeah, you got that Neanderthal conversation. Your favorite letters are W-I-D, stringing words together incoherently. Looking for a hookup, baby, you just met me. Video chatting, I'll ignore your calls, hoping I'll slide so you can catch me in my bra. I'm not chasing yellow butterflies with you. I know my love is in high demand. I'm not looking for a seesaw ride with you. Calamity, looking for a friend. Baby, 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 you're not my baby, stop calling me baby. I am not your lady. Hold up. Keyboard courage in my DM. No, don't wanna see your body parts. You're from that dirty mind population. Who told you that's the way to get a lady? Clever ways to turn me off completely. Trolling on my page at 2 a.m., that's creepy. If you need pointers on what to say, find a gentleman so he can score you in the game, baby. I'm not chasing yellow butterflies with you. I know my love is in high demand. I'm not looking for a seesaw ride with you. Calamity, looking for a friend. Baby, baby, you're going nowhere fast. Your car's ran out of gas. 3, 5, 4 farm. Stop acting like you ain't never had none. Be better than this. 'Cause if you wanna kiss a queen someday, you're gonna have to learn the rules and just behave. Heed. 'Cause I'm not your baby, 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 baby. I'm not your baby, stop calling me. I am not your lady. I am not your lady. Hey, baby. Baby, 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 baby. I'm not your lady. I'm not your baby.
I am not your baby. Why? Hey, we can clap it up. We got enough people in there. Come on, man. going in, man. And I know his sisters everywhere around the world say, that's my song right there. I am not your baby. Yeah. Somebody gonna put that in the DMs tonight, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm glad you're bringing light to this, good sister, because this is something that is plaguing our society, and especially our sisters, because they're dealing with it in silence and in silos. And if they speak about it, they sound like they're snitching or they're hating or they're being, petty. But this is something that's going on and has been going on for some times, and sisters have been dealing with this and probably going out of their mind because of it, because, men are sending not only just texts constantly and consistently saying things they shouldn't be saying, but they're sending the pictures.
Yes.
That's facts.
I experienced it, and, because I experienced it, I said I need to address it. And talking to some of my other sisters, going through similar experiences with men that they encounter in these social media environments. I'm a traditional girl. I like to be treated accordingly. And so just because you have direct access to me doesn't mean that you have direct access to me. So I wanted to show and give men an instructional guide on what not to do and to promote chivalry.
Yeah. I thought you were going to continue on going, because I needed to hear that, because there's a lot of brothers that need to hear about chivalry and about respecting, the women the way that they need to be respected and appreciated. And that's not that's not weak. That's something that's been a part of our culture and a part of our way of operating and appreciating our queens.
Yes.
And I think that because nobody is really speaking about it the way that they should, and a lot of the sisters who are coming out are being ostracized and denigrated because this patriarchal society, and many times some people would say toxic masculinity, but I don't even think that that's masculinity. I think that that's fragility and insecurity that is definitely parading itself falsely as masculinity, because true masculinity is being comfortable and sound and knowing how to understand and protect. And just as you said so beautifully, you said, let me learn you how to treat a woman.
That's right.
And I think that's important. And I think because of, and I don't want to blame it. I don't want to go into the victim consciousness that Sister Zaza alluded to, but I want to frame it in a way in which empowers us. Is that with individuals like you and Zaza, and hopefully brothers and sisters out there who put their foot down and say, no more of this. We're not going to allow this to become what it has become now, an epidemic, and really something that is hurting and damaging good, positive relationships. Because now if you engage with people, they automatically think you're going to do something toxic. You're going to do something crazy.
Exactly.
Right? And that's not the way it should be. We shouldn't be coming into each other's spheres and each other's energy zones automatically distrusting us, automatically feeling like this person's going to manipulate, this person's going to exploit, or do something insane. So, and bringing it back to, the point of the show and really how we can begin to empower ourselves. Good sister, I want you to speak about how a man should engage. If he is going to engage with a woman, what do you think would be some of the signs or some of the tips that he could use and utilize to form that kind of conversation and connection with the woman?
Well, first and foremost, if you're going to approach a woman on social media, I think you should do so with great care. I think you should first introduce yourself the way you would introduce yourself in a traditional face-to-face manner. Let me get to know you, not just, as I say in the song, I had an experience where someone sent me lewd images. I don't want to see that. I don't feel that is appropriate, one. And two, how are you getting to know me? You've basically closed the door.
Was he butt naked?
Pretty much, yeah.
See, that don't even make no sense to me, man. Like, I don't even know. Did you know the brother? I'm not trying to expose the brother. So brothers out here sending nakeds.
Yeah.
And they don't even know the sisters?
They don't even know the sisters.
Zaza, it can't be that. Come on, Zaza. Tell me it ain't so. Tell me.
Oh man, she preaching.
I mean, I wouldn't have to write about it if it wasn't happening.
Man.
So
yes,
and
it's a problem.
And not like I was saying, I think you were
That's crazy.
off air, but it's not just me. It's when I write songs, before I write, not just drawing from my own experiences, but talking to other people, listening, being a good listener. And this was something that was being told to me by women of different ethnicities, cultures, backgrounds. So it's not a black thing. Let me be clear. It's a social issue.
Yeah, it's a dysfunction.
And I think because we have this instant access, we think we have instant access to our beings and our personalities. And what you see on social media is LaShonda Schofield, the artist, the mother, but you don't know me.
Right.
So that's my way of just giving them, not preaching, just teaching.
Right. But even if you did choose to preach, the choir needs to listen to this, because if a man has gotten that confused, and I would even question if he's a man, to where he feels that disrespectful and that flagrant to show parts of his body to women he doesn't even know. I mean, what kind of sister would be impressed by that? I don't even know what kind of person would be engaged. I don't know with
many,
that.
Not if you know.
You know what I'm saying? So, and this speaks to, and this is the reason why I wanted to go into this, Zaza, because you talk about strained relationships and circumstances that you identify as unfinished business, and that would be, to me, a sign and a symptom of a man or an individual, because I imagine there's probably some sisters out there doing it, because I ain't gonna lie, I've gotten some stuff too in the inbox, you know what I'm saying, from some sisters, but it's not as flagrant as the brothers out here, but the thing that I would say to this is that it speaks of people not understanding how to form and formalize good, healthy relationships, right?
And that's a real problem. Like in our culture right now, like people introducing themselves in a sexual capacity.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like that. Like the fact that you have access to a woman makes you feel some level of ownership towards her, or like you have the right to, bear it all, so to speak. Women are sacred to me. You know what I mean? And so because I look at us as sacred, that's why in no way, when I talk about victim consciousness, I clearly understand there is a lot of deformity and dysfunction when it comes to the male-female dynamic. I've had men send me pure naked pictures, the grape sweatpants situation, the very lewd language via DM, via text message, like men that there was no introduction, there was no reason for you to do that. But I think that we live in a society now where it's so promiscuous, there are no borders, there are no boundaries now, that we actually think that that's an acceptable and appropriate way to interact with one another.
Wow. You just said something that I think we really got to just take a moment and really debrief and really break down, because it sounds like instead of us appreciating our, as you mentioned, our soul and the divinity and the divine that we are one with and exist with and should express in our interactions, we become almost animalistic and even worse than animals of sorts, because animals at least have some cognition in terms of they might be in heat, or it might be time and season, and there's a certain protocol even in that for most animals. But it seems like this is without rhyme, this is without reason. I mean, you have brothers you haven't even talked to doing this kind of madness, and beasts in the field would say that's insane. So I think that we're not talking about it. It's not being discussed. And what's even more disgusting is many women are suffering in silos and in fear, and they can't even speak out about it, right? And then the brothers are as many times they got relationships, and I heard one sister say, it wasn't until I saw this brother with his family in pajamas that I even knew he wasn't single. So those things are happening and occurring at too grand and too great of a frequency, because many of us are not living in our truth, as you said earlier, you alluded to. And then on some level, they are operating in this purge-like mentality in this Hunger Game entity. And that's one of the reasons why I want people to go to your website and look up and get the book, because changing your mind is not just about, elevating and having good chakras and good energy and, tapping into the crystals and all of that great work that works. But it's also about dealing with our lower selves, and then beginning to put ourselves in line and in lock and in balance. And as you said, and you alluded to it so perfectly, and it's one of the reasons why I wanted to go into the conversation now, is you wanted peace. You didn't want a million followers. You didn't want everybody saying Zaza Ali is the most requested speaker, but she's a speaker that speaks to our heart in a way in which changes our mind, changes the way in which we live our lifestyles. Can you speak to the importance of us focusing on things that are more substantive, that are more healing and healthy?
Yeah, man, I'd be embarrassed if I was touting myself as the most requested speaker if I didn't leave behind a trail of elevated minds and changed lives. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I couldn't go back to the cities that I visited before and to be able to really see a change in the consciousness and a change in people's real lives. Like, a lot of times when I've done speaking engagements across the country, and sometimes we have a tendency to kind of shout at our people or to talk down to our people. And I can look in the audience and look in people's eyes and see their struggle and see their suffering. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about we need to be banking and we need to be growing our own food. And obviously we should be doing all of that stuff, right? That goes without saying. But like, you're saying this to somebody that doesn't know how she's going to pay her rent and she's got 3 children. You know what I mean? Like, we're trying to build institutions on the backs of broken people. So in my mind, we need to work on the broken people. You know what I'm saying? Because every individual can be an institution unto themselves. We are universes unto ourselves. Everybody that's listening to this, you, the sister that's talking with us right now, the people there at the studio, everybody is a universe unto themselves. They've got family, they've got previous relationships, they've got children, they've got business, they've got jobs, they've got, the places that they frequent every day, their routine. Everybody is a universe unto themselves. We don't respect that process. We don't respect the sanctity of the individual sovereign being. And because we don't really elevate that and give that enough attention and enough nourishing and enough compassion, we beat ourselves over the head and then, kind of push everybody in the pack and expect high levels of production. No, when you do that to people, you get half-baked results. You know what I'm saying? You get people that will come in and start strong for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and then all of a sudden, it's like, that's why we can't ever get nowhere. Black people don't want to commit. Well, you're asking them to commit to the organization, and they haven't even committed to themselves. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So I think when you talked about that animalistic aspect, human beings have 3 brains, and one of those brains is the reptilian brain. And that's the part of the brain that we share with reptiles and other mammals. That's why they call it the reptilian brain. And that part of our brain is focused purely on survival, mating, right? You're a frog and you see another frog, and the only purpose you guys have is to get together and mate and produce offspring and eat and survive, right? Some of our people actually live like that, right? So to your point, there has to be a balance in indulgence and discipline. We're in a space right now where it's all about indulgence. It's, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's all about the women online are showing everything. Now we got men kind of trying to match that frequency and match that energy. We don't know how to relate to one another. We don't know how to have a meeting of the minds. I've had conversations with brothers that, on Facebook and Instagram that would reach out to me and say something about a body part, like compliment me on a body part. And it's like, okay, but wait, I don't know you like that. Why would you come at me like that? Oh, I'm so sorry, sister. Then they want to talk about something intellectual or whatnot, but like, they don't really even understand how inappropriate that is, because that's the language that we speak amongst each other right now.
Wow.
I just, that low vibrational mindset that a lot of people are living in comes from, like you said, not living in your truth. That's what it's really all about. A bunch of people out here trying to find themselves who don't have strong minds, that are easily influenced, that are allowing social media and pop culture to dictate who they are, opposed to really exploring themselves and figuring it out.
Whew, that's another bomb right there. I'm texting Charlie Wilson. I'm gonna talk to his people. You got to go on tour with the brother, because you just dropped the bomb on there, and that's really important. And I think this is how the universe is working so beautifully. You talked about how you as a speaker, how you go to a place and you make it better, and that you leave people with something that's substantive. And there's a reason, Sister Zaza, we wanted to bring them on the show, not only because it's a connection back with you, and they appreciate you so much, but they have made the connection together, because both of those brothers went through what brothers and sisters have went through in times of, when they break apart, just like the Jackson 5 did. And I know some of you guys was hurting as kids when you found that out, or, when, your favorite team broke up, when Vince Carter and Tracy McGrady separated, or whatever the case may be, or LeBron left Cleveland and came back, whatever the case. But we've all experienced a time and season to where folk that we loved, that we appreciated, separated and had to part ways. And Zaza, you got some experience with that too. And I'd like for you to talk about the importance of us not allowing those things, those angers, those regrets, those resentments to reside in us, so that we can begin, as you say in the book, to use and utilize our superpower, which is forgiveness.
Yeah, that's very important. And let me just say real quick, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing was really the woman that inspired me to be an intellectual. Her, Mother Tynetta Muhammad and Ava Muhammad, Dr. Ava Muhammad, were all three very strong examples to me of women who were very powerful in an intellectual capacity, and as I watched them, that really inspired me, along with what I already wanted to do with my life, to step into that space and to really take pride in that. Dr. Frances Cress Welsing had a very important impact on my life and was instrumental in the woman that I became. But that resentment and that anger, in the workbook I talk about energetic leaks and identify, the unfinished business part is section is part of the energetic leaks, as well as like certain behavioral patterns. But we have these energetic leaks that kind of tear away at us on a continuous basis, and because it's not necessarily in the forefront of our consciousness, meaning, something that we can see and touch every day, we can't really qualify it or measure it. But these are things that are happening kind of in the background of our minds and our subconscious minds that tear away at us, and we get triggered from commercials or something we see on the internet or something somebody says or an experience, and then it pulls us back into a space of negativity, and a lot of times we don't really even know what that is. So I identify, just first of all, highlighting that resentment, like you talked about, that anger, that frustration, being bitter about your family upbringing and situations like that, like you talked about, like previous partnerships and things that kind of went astray, and how that stuff can limit you when it comes to your consciousness. In the book, The Super Beings by John Randolph Price, there's a section in there where he talks about everything that you think. Let's say if you say, I'm going to manifest $100,000 next year, right? I got my business plan going, or my business is ready to take off. I know I'm going to have a great year next year. But if your consciousness is still seeping with resentment from something that happened with your father, something that somebody wronged you or sabotaged you or whatnot, those things on an energetic level get in the way of you really fully producing your highest and best life, right? So sometimes we get in a cycle where I'm doing my best, I'm trying my hardest, which was my reality this year, where I was like, okay, I'm just going to thug it out this year, right? I'm just going to write, I'm going to produce content, and I'm going to, take my business, get everything in alignment, and take everything to the next level. But I wasn't seeing the results that I really needed to see. And on paper, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing. So, and again, this is how I wrote the workbook. This is how that content came to be. I had to recognize through my own personal knowledge of self that I still had energetic leaks and things that were still kind of conflicting within my own energy that were getting in the way of me manifesting what I wanted, or what I desired. So forgiveness not necessarily relieving the person of their responsibility for what they did to you, but letting it go. Because if you sleep with that and you wake up with that and you live with that, it becomes a part of your resonance, which means that it becomes a part of everything that you touch.
Wow, I just had to let that marinate and seep into my brain. Good sister, I'm telling you, you know, I know we're on the same planet, but you're on a whole nother wavelength and frequency. You know,
you are good. You feel good at your job.
You know, I just really appreciate you because you're good at your job, and I want other people to take witness of it and definitely appreciate it and embrace it, because we have to do a better job of appreciating, giving flowers and gratitude and admiration and adulation to the people who are really making a difference in our conditions and our situations. Too many times, you know, we give a lot of accolades to people who run with a football and or who sing on a mic, and I'm not denigrating those individuals. We got a great one here in the building. But I love when we appreciate and value those that are building something that can't be touched, that might not be able to put a price tag upon, but it's something that is so universally important and so special and so priceless. And that's what your work of art is doing and has done and will continue to do, because you touch every particular subject that we're facing and we're going through, and you do it so eloquently and intelligently, and I'm doing my best to live up to you, but I know I'm just a miscreant and I'm gonna start cussing in just a minute. But you know what I'm saying, after reading this book, meditating and doing all, breathing through my nostrils and doing all that good stuff, you know, you definitely made a difference, good sister. And I want you to give your website one more again, so people and all of my dear family and friends can reach out to you and find about ways in which that they can get this wonderful and powerful piece of work.
Indeed. My website is ZazaAli.com. Z like zebra, A like Adam, Z like zebra, A like Adam, and then A like Adam, L like Larry, I like interesting.com, ZazaAli.com. You can email me at zaza@zazaali.com, and I'm on Instagram and Facebook. You can get that stuff on my website. But I just want to say thank you to you. Obviously, you kept in contact with me over the years through the good, bad, and the ugly. Always been kind of an energetic support for me and sending me love and positive energy, and I appreciate that. I appreciate you for allowing me to be on the platform. I appreciate for everybody who's listening, you know, and wherever you are right now in your life right now, like, once you make a conscious decision, and a part of the reason why a lot of us are suffering is because we're indecisive. We don't know if we should leave our job and start our business. We don't know if we should go back to school. Should I stay with them? Should I leave? The indecisiveness is conflicting with where you actually want to go in your life and what your goals and aspirations are. So make a decision. Even if the decision is just, I want peace in my life. I got to a point where my daily mantra was, nothing and nobody is going to get in the way of my peace of mind. And I would say that to myself consistently in order to keep myself in a present state of mind, right where I'm at, regardless of whom or what, whether it's my teenage son working my nerves, dealing with somebody with the internet, or just business problems, or just life in general. Nothing and nobody is going to get in the way of my peace of mind. So make that a mantra for your life and carry that with you, and change the way you are thinking and feeling about your circumstances. Get in a space of gratitude and find whatever jewels there are, whether it's at your job or, you know, if you're going to school, wherever you are in your life right now. When you start to change the way you look at your life, you look at your reality, when you start to expect good things to happen to you, the universe will line up and start to make things happen for you. You are not doing this alone. None of us are doing this alone. I don't care if you come from a no family support system or if you got a family the size of California. None of us are doing this alone. We have access to the energy and the consciousness and the mindset that put the sun in the sky and the moon in the sky and all these great things that we have access to. So tap into that energy. Change the way you look at your life and have better expectations and make a decision. And once you do that, the universe will start to turn things around. You'll start getting phone calls and emails, and things will work out for you. That is what my workbook is about, going from a space of lack not expecting good things to happen for you, your back always being against the wall, you know, all those euphemisms that we use all the time. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. Getting out of that mindset and going into a mindset of I am that I am, that I expect for good things to happen to me, that I expect that one phone call that's going to change the trajectory of my business, or that promotion that I've been waiting on, or that raise that I've been waiting on. Start to make a decision and take ownership of what you want to come into your life, opposed to just reacting to life, and the whole entire universe will submit to your will. I bear witness, and I'm so grateful for all of your time and attention, and much love and appreciation.
You know what? We love you, and there's nothing you can do about it, good sister, okay? And we want you to always feel that not only do you have a place and space, but as long as we are on, you are on. So we're going to continue to keep sharing the message, because we know the message is not only making a difference, it's changing folk in a positive way. And I hope and pray that each person listening to our voice has not only gotten a glimmer and a glimpse of the greatness at which you possess, but needs to realize that the information at which the universe has blessed you with, you're sharing and you're giving it unto us to create more blessings. So those of you who do go to the website, who do get the workbook, make sure that you let someone else know about it so that they can go too and grow as well.